Comfy is a pretty broad term when it comes to music in this day and age. The idea of comfy, even in a general sense, is pretty different for different people. The term comfy, in terms of media, has grown to often mean relaxed, not stressful, free of worry, and lighthearted. Something that equates to, for me, chilling under some blankets with your choice of hot beverage on a cold day. For comfy shows, videos, video games, parts of a video game, music is a major factor in what facilitates those feelings of comfort during a section of what it's appearing in. There are quite a number of ways to write comfy music. A few include making the music hypnotic and repetitive, lulling the listener into a mindset of calm. Another way is making it slightly disorienting, just enough to put the listener in a weird enough mindset that things seem to go blank. Using mental association with what your brain already deems comfy. Using tools of warm timbres and easy to listen to frequencies that aren't harsh on the ears and don't require much thought or brain power. These are things that cause a soothing feeling. Obviously, there are more than this, and there are combinations of all of these things, but these are some of the main and more common ways composers instill a feeling of comfort. With that said, there are some aspects of composition that are pretty uniform amongst comfy music. Today we're going to be diving right into the comfy zone by looking at 3 different but very comfy pieces. First is Solo Camp no Susume from Yuru Camp by Akiyuki Tateyama. Second is Beneath the Mask from Persona 5 by Shoji Meguro, and lastly is Pascal's Village from Nier Automata by Keiichi Okabe. I'll briefly break down some points of what makes each one comfy, then explain what they do similarly, and we'll get to the bottom of what makes a cue truly comfy. First up is Solo Camp no Susume from Yuru Camp. This is probably my choice for the one that's comfiest to me, and that might have to do with the fact that it's the piece with the most traditionally comfy tropes on display. The piece is written at 123 beats per minute in either a 3/4 or 6/8 time signature, really depending on composer's choice, and is written with a classic waltz-style accompaniment. Despite it being the fastest tempo on the list, it feels slower than Pascal's Village due to the emphasis being on every third beat. Because of this, the tempo has a feeling of being slower, drowsy, and wistful. This comfy feeling is mostly due to the waltz style and simple, happy, and catchy main melody, but it doesn't hurt that all of the instruments have a rustic, natural quality to them. It uses acoustic guitars, violins, pizzicato cello or bass, small instances of a harp run, and the slightest bit of an ambient synth pad. The purpose of this instrumentation is to stick mainly to full and rich timbres, playing warm chords and melodies, making it very easy on the ears. None of the main focus instruments are something that would be difficult to find, and what's played is nothing the average player couldn't handle. The piece is overall very low energy and full of space, even when the energy increases and the melody goes up, I believe, a fifth. It's still fairly spacious, giving the wistful quality unmatched on this list. The feeling of open space in conjunction with the waltz style and Celtic influence instantly teleports me to a small celebration in the European countryside. Perfect for a calming camping show. That might not be everyone's reaction, but that's the association that I make, and that's one main factor in instilling such a comfortable feeling for me. On top of the overarching aspects of comfiness, there are also no specific moments that really shock the listener or take you out of your drowsy food coma-like state. All of this combined with large amounts of repetition, and you have a recipe for a very natural sounding comfy piece. We'll discuss some of these important details in more depth later when comparing the pieces. For now, the next piece has some of the comfy tropes from the one before, but relies much more heavily on the ideas of comfy by association and hypnotic elements. Beneath the Mask from Persona 5 whisks you away to a smoky jazz bar on a side street in the city. You can almost feel the warmth of the room and visualize the dimly lit, relaxed atmosphere present where this would be playing. Your brain makes an instant connection to a real-world comfy scenario. Of course, this isn't the only factor at play. Much of the relaxed atmosphere comes from the tempo. The feel of the tempo is a slow 4/4 at 74 beats per minute, marking as the slowest tempo on this list. Slower tempos are a very common tool for a composer to use to invoke feelings of either deep emotion or to emulate a laid-back feeling. What distinguishes which effect of the two it has really relies on mainly melodic content and instrumentation. Speaking of instruments, the instruments play a major role in this as well. Spoiler, the instruments play a major role in all of these pieces. This piece utilizes a relaxed drum kit, electric bass, a couple background synths, electric piano, female jazz vocalist with a very clear and relaxing tone, by the way, often singing somewhat low, accompanied by some very quiet delay and occasional vocal harmonies. This song is very repetitive and maintains a very hypnotic rhythm/beat, aided by hypnotic use of panning on the e-piano and quiet background synth. Panning is basically the effect where a sound moves left and right, left and right. It's especially easy to hear if you're listening on headphones. The E-piano and background synth bounce back and forth, really lulling your brain into a hypnotic state of peacefulness. This works well in the E-piano because its higher register and colder tone contrasts with the warm timbres in the bass, vocals, drums, and even the lower registers of the E-piano itself. This causes the hypnotic lead of the E-piano and its panning to stand out just enough to have a great lulling effect on the listener. While there are some higher notes played, none of the frequencies are too high or too low and avoid being abrasive. There's also plenty of space in the song due to orchestration and reverb, making the music blend into the background very effectively. This piece overall is a very different sounding song to the piece from Yuru Camp, but it does have a fair amount of similarities in the approach to how it creates a comfy atmosphere. Pascal's Village, however, at first glance definitely seems like the odd one out, and looks like it is by far the least traditionally comfy piece, straying from many of the tropes we've been looking at. Upon a closer look though, you might be surprised at how many similarities there really are to the other two pieces we talked about. The beat is steady at around 93 beats per minute. While it does seem to shift which beat it accents, it has an incredibly steady underlying rhythm, leaning into the hypnotic qualities of repetition and straightforward rhythms we've seen so far. The beat and vocals are incredibly hypnotic, especially with the affected robotic chorus, which utilizes a distorted tone to hide itself more in the background of the song, making it more effective at being something you subconsciously listen to rather than focus on. A very important similarity to the previous pieces is that the instruments used have similar rich and warm timbres. From what I could hear, there's acoustic percussion, including the hand claps, steady marimba, acoustic guitar, robot vocals, children's choir, chimes, and I think an acoustic bass. Unlike the other two pieces, this song has very busy orchestration. However, it still manages to sound very spacious due to a fairly liberal usage of reverb. This instrumentation shares another similarity to Yuru Camp by using instrumentation that sounds very natural aside from the robotic vocals, mirroring the robots living in the woods. Pretty cool. So you might be wondering, what the heck does natural sound like? It basically means that the instruments have a rich and woody tone, and by woody I mean full sound, often a bit throaty, instruments that take advantage of the fact they're made of wood. Think marimba or acoustic guitar. Despite the orchestration sounding very full, the song space is really only mainly taken up by marimba percussion and guitar strums, all things that keep the repetitive rhythm rooted. The harmony and melody are simple and not distracting. Melody mainly being dominated by the vocals, which are incredibly rhythmic and hypnotic, while a picked guitar noodling around keeps motion in between the chunks of vocal melody. Importantly, the noodling in the guitar is never too strong to override the hypnotic rhythm and quality of the song. This song is great for a video game cue because it can just repeat forever without being too in your face that you get tired of it, but being noticeable enough to have that hypnotic lulling effect. So, what seem to be the main factors in making music comfy? Even if the tempo is quick, the feel of the rhythm or beat is usually slower and relaxed. One easy technique that composers use is to make the beat feel close to the speed of the average heartbeat. What this does is it internalizes the rhythm and can relax your brain. If it's too fast, the listener can get agitated or start pumping adrenaline, taking you out of a neutral state of mind. Tempo plays a huge role in the next point as well, repetition. Repetition is a hugely important factor in making music sound comfy. While the composer still needs to have some surprises to have the piece maintain interest, for comfy music, surprises should never be too jarring or take the listener out of a more neutral state. Repetition helps keep you in a state of comfiness because it eliminates the need for your brain to guess where the music will go. This gets rid of a guessing game you do subconsciously with music every time you listen to it and allows you to relax more. Repetition also implies in comfy music that the melody and harmony will often end up lingering around tonal centers, which are the most stable places to be in harmonic music. This ensures at least some level of comfort. Surprises often aren't really seen as comfy. They can be happy, they can be sad, but they're not generally something that's a neutral state of mind. The same goes for music, and the idea of hanging around tonal centers or having expectation and meeting that expectation gets rid of that surprise. Beyond those two things, frequency and timbre are very important factors as well, especially when picking your instrumentation and melodic and harmonic content. Staying within warm and rich timbres is very important. Good examples of this are guitar and middles in string sections. The reason I say mids or middles is because extreme ranges high and low can often cause you to strain your ears to listen to them, as they are harder to discern than middle frequencies. Mids are less abrasive, therefore more comfy, allowing you to get into or stay in a more neutral state of mind. Melody and harmony obviously also play a huge role. I'm not going to get into major specifics of dominant chords or subdominant chords, crap like that, but I will say that in comfy music, the composer will often avoid heavy amounts of dissonances. The reason is because dissonances have what are called beats, which are honestly really hard to explain, but think of it as the idea of two waveforms kind of crashing into each other, and the highs and lows or peaks and troughs of the waveform are both getting heard at different times very quickly, and it's very disorienting, very uncomfortable, not good for comfy music. Disclaimer, these are not the only ways to make music comfy. I think you guys probably know that. These are just a few of the main factors that you'll find in pretty much all comfy music you listen to. That about wraps it up for this video. I think I'm gonna go chill under some blankets and have some tea myself. I hope you guys had a good time, and I hope it was nice and comfy for you. Stay comfy, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. This one took a while, between having to redo the audio and having to redo some of the game footage, and then ultimately this is pretty exciting, I got an orchestrating gig and the composer was very impressed, and so basically I'm pretty much his in-house orchestrator now, and he works on everything from small stuff to feature films, so I'm going to get to work on that stuff, and that's really exciting. Not only because it's now a somewhat regular income, but also because of the implications of the stuff that I get to work on. That being said, I'm going to try and be more consistent with these videos. I know this one was a bit of a different story because everything was super busy, and then I had that job, and then a bunch of stuff went wrong with the recording. Whatever. I'm going to be more consistent, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope it was comfy for you. It was very comfy for me. I really liked making it. And as always, I hope you have a great day and a greater life, and I'll see you in the next one.